The hard part about today's lesson is the questions today, okay? So in our notes today it is, look at this, 2:22. Wow. That's only going to happen once, isn't it?
Just wait until the 22nd. Yeah.
2022.
Yeah, but then it'll be 22222.
Ah, yeah. There you go. Oh, that's going to be good. Okay. All right. So it's how this is written. The trick to this is a question. Okay? This is a question. So my question states this. It says that f of x plus 3 minus 2. So what is f of x? That absolute value graph, right? So we're going to take this graph and we're going to move it 3, -2. Does that make sense? It's how the question is saying this. So we know we're going to take, so if we graph f of x, and we know f of x is our absolute value graph. So I'm going to put that in there, okay? I'll put that in green. So I'm going to put absolute value of x in green. Can you see that, or is that too light? It's pretty light. Let me see. I'll find a different color. I like colors, but, you know. Okay, here's brown. Brown should show, okay? So if this is f of x, then we're going to sketch f. This is f of x, right? We're going to sketch f of. So we take it and move it back 3, down 2. So it says to do a horizontal shift left 3, because it's the opposite, right? And then down 2. That's all this says. So you have to recognize what your function is, absolute value, and then move it. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's it. So it's really not hard. We just have to figure out what is it trying to say. What's the question? Yes.
So you said it's a horizontal shift left 3 and then down 2.
Yes.
Should I write that down as horizontal shift left 3 vertical shift down 2?
Sure.
Okay.
That'll work.
Wait,
Yes. Yes,
How do
please.
you differ whether it's down?
Right. So anything on the inside is always horizontal. Always.
Oh.
Anything on the outside is always up and down. Paige, good question. Okay. So then, and then down 2. Okay. So what do you think about number 2? So first of all, what is the function? Gabe, question.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Hmm?
can I say like?
Sure, what's going to happen?
Up 5 and to the right 1.
Perfect. So I'm going to get to that. I'm going to, yes, totally correct. So first of all, what is the function though? What is the function? What is that graph?
Equals.
That is the same thing as y equals 1 over 1x plus 0. If you put the invisible numbers in, right? That is this graph right here. That's f of x. And then Gabe's right. We're going to take our function and we're going to move it. We're going to shift. We're going to do a horizontal shift. We're going to go to the right 1 and up 5, right? So it's the whole line. I'd just like to take any point because all the points are going to move. So I'll take this point and I'll go to the right 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there it is. So it's really pretty easy if you know what they're asking. So if we go to 3, the first thing I do is say, okay, what is the function? F of x is an x squared. What is that function? Well, that's a parabola, right? So I'm going to put that down, and the way I like to do the parabola is I like to do the like 0 squared, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 squared is 9, so I'm going to estimate up there. I know my parabola is symmetrical, right? It's symmetrical, so I can just put the other points on the other side. Negative 1 squared is positive 1, negative 2 squared is positive 4, negative 3 squared is positive 9. So here's my function, right? So what am I going to draw? Well, I'm going to take this brown graph. I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis because of the negative. I'm going to make it twice as tall and then shift it up 4. So I'm going to reflect it over and I'll do this in a couple of steps. So I'm going to reflect it, and don't write this yet, just watch me do this because I'm going to erase. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't write this down, just watch. I'm going to do it in 3 steps. I don't expect you to do it in 3 steps. I'm going to do it in 3 steps so you can see what I've done. Okay, first thing I did is I did a reflection. Okay. Now, I'm going to make a stretch. I'm going to make it a stretch. So it's going to be twice as tall. Even though it's going down, I think it was twice as tall, right? So now instead of, how do I make it twice as tall? It's the y values. So instead of this point being here at 1, it's going to go to 2. So this point being at 4, it's going to go to 8. You guys got the idea? And this one's going to be at 18 is going to be off my paper, right? So I'm just going to stretch my y values. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So I've stretched my y values. So all of a sudden I'm at negative 2. 4 goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 and 8. Okay, now I can erase. I can erase this because I've made it twice as tall. See, well, I wouldn't suggest you guys do this because it takes a lot of work. Okay, now what's the last thing I'm going to do with this graph? Yeah, so now I'm going to take it and I'm going to then move it up. I'm going to do a vertical shift up 4. So my answer is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, here, and then I'm going to take this point up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This point goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like this.
Oh.
Wait, what did it look like? So I did 3 things, didn't I? Let's go through it again. I want you to see this. I did 3 things. Here's my f of x. First, reflected. Then I made it twice as tall. I stretched it. And I took that graph and moved everything up 4. Okay? You see it? And it is kind of a pain to do in 3 steps, but if you do it in 3 steps, you can see everything that's going on, right? And I'll wait for you. Give me thumbs up when you're ready for me to flip the page, okay? See a couple thumbs up, okay? Okay, Cassidy, you got it? Okay, thumbs up. Turn the page, okay? All right, now, what's the parent function? Now, we looked at this in our book, but we're going to do this. The square graph looks like this. It's in our journal. To avoid decimals, square root of 0 is 0. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 2 is a decimal. Square root of 3 is a decimal, but square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 5 is a decimal. Square root of 6 is a decimal. Square root of 7 is a decimal. Square root of 8 is a decimal. Square root of 9 is 3. I just need a few points. You guys agree? I know what the shape is. So I'm going to graph it there, there, and there. So I'm going to do it again so you can see it. So my parent function looks like this. Square root of 0 is 0. Square root of 1 is 1. So I went to 1. Answer is 1. I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4 because I know the square root of 4 is 2. So I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The square root of 9 is 3. Now all the other decimals are there when I connect the dots. Does that make sense? When I connect the dots, they're all there. But we have the general shape, right? So what's our directions? Yeah, what does that mean if it's negative on the inside?
This goes off.
Yes, so we're going to reflect over the y-axis. Or like you said, we're just going to go the other direction, right? So it's going to go like this. Oops, I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right there, my bad. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and about there, okay? Still missed it. There we go. How am I doing? Okay, now, example 5. So if we look at our notes, the parent function looks like this, okay? X cubed. So I'm going to go 0 cubed is 0 times 0 times 0. 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1, okay? 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's all good. You're not the first person to say that, Giselle. You are not the first person. It's all good. It's all good. Negative 1 squared is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, right? Which is negative 1. Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there's our parent function. So we've got our graph. There's our parent function. How are we going to move it? Yes, Gabe?
You can move it to the right 3 and then up 2.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've got to move the whole graph. If you take calculus, if you do, this is called an inflection point. I'm going to move the, I don't care if you know the word, okay? I just want to throw it out at you, okay? So the inflection point is where it starts to concave down and changes, okay? You hear that in business a lot. We've reached an inflection point, right? You ever heard that in business? All of a sudden sales start to slow down. You fire Mr. Davies, maybe you hire Juan, and then you have an inflection point because Juan keeps the business going again, right? Nice job. There you go. So I'm going to move my inflection point to the right, 1, 2, 3, and up 2, and I'll do the same graph. And I didn't do it perfect. I'm not worried about it. So I moved this point to right there, didn't I? All right. Now, the cube root graph, am I going too fast? A cube root graph looks like this. And again, that's in our journal. We saw that, like, I think the first day, didn't we? So this is the, no, we saw this yesterday. It's the cube root graph, okay? And again, here's what I'm going to do. What times what makes 0? What times what makes 0? Yeah. What times what makes 1? Then I'm going to go all the way to 8. I'm not going to do any of those numbers in 20 because there's decimals. But if I go to 8, okay, what times what makes 8? 2. Same thing on the back. So I'm going to graph that 0, 1, and 8. I'm going to graph that 0, 1, and negative 8. Because those are nice numbers. I just need points, right? And all the other numbers are in there. So, all right, here's what my parent function looks like. Cube root of 0 is 0. Cube root of 1 is 1. Cube root of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 2. All the other numbers are in there, but they're decimals. Cube root of negative 8 is negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. And there's my parent function, okay? Now, let's move it. How are we going to move it? Left, 2, and awesome. And let's move the inflection point again. It's the easiest point to move. So left 2, down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did not make my graph big enough. Forgive me, but it's going to work. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I got 1, 2, 2, 3, and And of course, it's just going to be, I should have made bigger graph, huh? There it is. All right, what do you think? Thumbs up on this today? So homework's going to be out of our journal. And I'd like you to do page 32, 1 through 11. All. Let's take